Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague of Whipping Like Always is, Noah Bailey. So we have a ton of stuff to cover today, starting with our review for the movie that was at one point just a myth we never thought was actually coming out, but it's here. Black Widow is finally in theaters and Disney Plus,
Yep.
and also on other pirated sites if people
Yeah, but
watch
that's,
it.
I mean,
It's in theaters. That's all that matters.
what is it? What, three release dates later it finally happened?
At least three. It was
Three
May,
or
then it was
four?
I think it was May, then it was July, then it was November, then it was May
May
again, then it was
again.
July again.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, it was like a lot of times. So I was just like, again. But yeah, it finally happened.
Yeah. Just really quick, just spoilers, obviously.
Yeah.
Like been out for 2 weeks, you've seen it. Real quick, like what are your very general thoughts about the movie?
I I like it. It's generally, it's good. I like it. It's not the best Marvel movie I've ever seen. It's certainly not bad by any
Mhm.
means. So like it has elements that I enjoy, some things that are really cool, some things, okay, sure, I'll go with it. And some things that are just like I didn't know I liked that, but okay. Like, there's a little bit of everything here. So
Yeah.
again, not over the top great, but not bad. I think it's very like par for the course, which was kind of expected. I didn't think they were
Yeah.
gonna like destroy it.
Literally from the trailers, I was walking in being like, I'm just expecting a middle of the road Marvel action movie.
Yeah.
And like that's what I got. But very, very rarely do I ever walk out of a movie theater and after a couple of days of marinating on it, am I like, I like that movie even more than I did walking out of it.
Mm,
Most times you walk out of a movie theater and you're like, that was okay. And then you're like, oh, that was terrible. Or like, I don't like it
right.
as much. Or like, these certain things here and there kind of like are iffy and whatnot. But like this movie, I'm like legitimately outside of like maybe three very, very minor nitpicks. I don't really know a lot that I can really like find faults in it. I don't really know if it does necessarily anything that's like phenomenal or better than other Marvel movies per se, but as far as being a very solid, fun action movie, I think it's as good as it could possibly be, in my humble opinion.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So where do you want to start with actually like diving into it?
We can start at the beginning. We can
That
go.
beginning was so like so like usually when watching a movie after like an hour, if I'm like really sucked into the movie, I literally forget I'm watching a movie until like
Mhm.
I like something distracts me. I'm like, oh, I'm in a movie, like in a theater. Like from the out of the gate, like as soon as the what is that song called? Teen no, it smells like Teen Spirit sequence started. I'm like, are we watching a Marvel movie right now? Like this was so cool, just visually interesting, nothing we'd ever seen in any Marvel movie before. And like it gave you all of like Natasha's backstory and the backstory of the entire like organization without like shoving it down your throat, without like big long exposition. It was just very like show don't tell with cool imagery, with just like showing you that this guy, like the main villain, like he's been around, like he's a big deal. He's and basically every single major event throughout history, he's just kind of been there. I love when stuff can just
Mhm.
right off the gate be like, this your villain is a big deal
Right.
movie. It's like, oh, that was so good.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of just goes too, and like things start happening. Like you don't really understand what's happening. You're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, oh, this is serious.
Yep.
Oh man, like it kind of gets going very quickly. And what I like about it is a lot of times these movies they have like the opening like action scene, and
Mm,
then a lot of just like talking, sitting and talking, waiting. And this one it was kind of like action scene to another action. It's like it was kind of the
mm.
beginning came on strong. Like they were really
Oh yeah.
pushing. There's like pretty much three different action scenes kind of in a row,
Yeah.
which is really kind of cool.
Yeah. And like I think that like like Smells Like Teen Spirit intro part was even more poignant after the kind of wholesome intro. Like I know like the family running away was the very like stressful moment, but them driving to American Pie just felt very very like whimsical, very like this is what like very very childlike energy to it, going directly into this like very downbeat, just like depressing, like just I love that.
This chance flips really quick.
Mhm. And also just they didn't. I liked that they didn't. They didn't. In this movie, especially the intro is so good about show don't tell. Like I don't think that I think the idea of show don't tell is a little overrated in general when it comes to movies, but when you're able to show, hey, the dad character, he can just flip a truck like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to explain why up front. You don't need to go into detail. You just be like, okay, this is a major character. He can do this thing. We'll figure it out later in the movie.
Right. It's like keep that in mind. That's gonna probably be important later.
Yeah.
But
So
like
the whole first 5 minutes of this movie was just brilliant. I thought.
Yeah, it starts off really strong. Yeah, I like how, and then again, like when he comes home and everything, they're like, "All right, time to go," and then he just kind of casually pulls out this gun. Sniper rifle and just like, "Oh," it's like it's one of the little girl's like, "Here's your bullets, Dad." I'm just like, "Oh, okay, so this happens often." Like, okay, so much for wholesome. But oh god. But yeah, that was it's the thing about the family that is good, but this kind of get kind of more of a broad thing. But the thing about the family is in the movie they explain that it's only for what, 3 years, right?
Yes.
Which that is one of my things that feels a little like it feels like it should have been longer to me. I don't know, because that's not a lot of time. I mean, you can argue, especially for the youngest one, you can argue she's only 6, so like that's most of her memories.
Yeah, because kids don't really start forming memories until they're about 3 or 4.
Right. So like I'll give you that one, but
Mhm.
even for Natasha, it's kind of like, I mean, 3 years isn't really that long, and it's like it was interesting as the movie came on to me how they had these very like like the movie the family moments in movies where it's like, oh, the dad, oh, even the scene where she's like, sit up straight, you're slouching, all this stuff, and it's like, I mean, it's like it's funny, and I like when they do that with stuff, especially like with serious moments and stuff. But it's also like, were we really a family like that? Like, it's only 3 years. That's kind of,
I mean, if they were trying to make it as real as possible, like you just to put on a face, I think like especially the two parents kind of doing it for the little, like the small child, I think they all kind of got like wrapped up into it.
Yeah.
And Natasha, after spending who knows how long in the red room just wanting some kind of normalcy again, she would also kind of get that delusion of this is what normal life is, so I'm just gonna let it happen. I think maybe 3 years is a little too short for that to be completely believable, but I think just per the circumstance, I think it makes enough sense that all parties involved would be, all in on this idea of the main
Okay.
family.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it should have been at least 5. I was thinking more like 5 to 10 just to make it a little more like reasonable in my head. But I understand, you don't want to spend too much of their time, regular kids, family life. Obviously they're trained assassins. But
I will say one of my absolute least favorite things in all of media is when like something in a movie or show where at the beginning of the media there's this like two characters exchange a line or do something or like where it's clearly just like a one-time event, and then at the very end of the movie as just like a moment of brevity it's like referenced again and they both laugh about it. Like that moment, like for example in this movie, they both are like, we're both upside down, and at the very end of the movie 20 years later. Like she references that again. Like that moment wasn't important to these characters, only to the audience. Kind of juxtapose that with the first time Sam and Captain America meet, the on your left, it's kind of implied that kind of became an inside joke between them.
Right.
So when it reappeared in Endgame, it felt more poignant.
Right.
But,
yeah.
So
yeah, I could see that because like with the Sam thing, it's way more like like you, especially how their dynamic is. They feel like it feels like it's a very one-up you kind of friendship. So like I think that would definitely come into play all the time. So obviously it's a huge deal. Plus, fan service. But I mean,
sure.
I feel like fan service across movies is bigger than just like, oh hey, remember we did this like 2 hours ago?
It's a very, very minor thing. It doesn't annoy me at all, but it's just something that I just kind of noticed that happens a lot in movies, and it happened here, and I was like, I don't really agree with that decision, but like it's a thing that happens. I'm not mad at it. It's just something that I noticed.
And trying to put a little bow on it just kind of because, but I mean, I will say I really liked the sister in this movie.
Oh yeah, yep. Yelena? Yeah.
Yelena, I believe. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
I liked I like how she just like casual, but also not like didn't care about anything. Very like it was a good balance. Like she felt like a very believable character.
Yeah, like there legitimately isn't really a major character in this movie that I didn't like. Like the David Arbor's character, I thought would get annoying, but didn't. The mom character, I like. Rachel Weisz is great, obviously. So like, just her just being very calm, calculated, very like just like her like can do get the job done personality. But like I just feel like especially the sister. If anything, Nat was kind of the weakest link in the movie.
That's kind of one of the things about the movie that's a little. I'm like, you kind of forget it's her movie because she kind of. I mean, obviously she has her like big scenes, especially at the end. But it feels like it's kind of Black Widow and Friends. It doesn't feel like Black Widow's movie, kind of. The same thing with Black Panther. Not that he wasn't going through a lot, but it was like the other characters that you're kind of introduced to are a lot really interesting.
Yeah.
And T'Challa's not done poorly, but just kind of not the most interesting character in the movie.
Yeah, and Black Widow and Black Panther are not bad characters in the movie, but like because of just the way these movies are written, other characters just happen to stand out more and just if anything, I kind of see that as a strength to say that the main character is strong, but it's the supporting cast is just as strong, if not better.
Right. And plus, I think it's also the having seen this character in at least one or more, or this case, 5, 6 movies, probably
at least 6,
yeah. I'm not even gonna count, but it was like 6,
at least 7 if you count post-credit scene of Captain Marvel. Maybe 8.
That's kind of okay. So there's 4 Avengers movies.
Yes.
There's Iron Man 2. There's Captain America 2. Captain America 3. What else am I missing?
I think it's just in Captain Marvel and then her movie.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, but I mean, that's like, she's only on screen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, but it's still, it's still.
But okay, at least 7.
At least 7.
What is that? If I missed one, my bad. But I mean, at least 7. But
at least 7 major appearances before now.
Right, like 7 where it was like
8. She was on screen for half a second until Ragnarok.
Really?
Yeah, when Hulk is boarding the Quinjet, like her like message comes on, and
that's right. Again, okay, that
half a second. It's the same situation.
Yeah, that was a good catch. I would never have found that, but it's like I think because Black Widow's not really been like she's been around a lot, even though this is her first movie, but she's been around a good bit. So like it's not that she's not interesting, but I think it's just seeing other new characters that are really done well that you're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, and I think I want to touch on this now. I think this movie kind of proves to me that the MCU doesn't need to be in any kind of chronological order, because this movie takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War.
Right.
And I never got this sense where it's like, I feel like I'm missing something by it literally not coming out between there. I felt like everything happening in this movie, like the stakes were high for these characters, but they obviously weren't, world endingly crazy. If movies can kind of stick to that vibe, I think setting future projects kind of wherever clearly can work. Not every movie or show or whatever necessarily has to further the plot. If it's just a cool idea and they want to set it, but just after the first Avengers movie or even before Iron Man 1, somewhere in there, I think, for example, I think it could work if as long as the characters work, the story works, but doesn't like break anything. And this movie, I think, really shows that they can do that going forward.
Okay, yeah, I somewhat agree. I think it would have been a little stronger if it had been before the Infinity War and the Endgame, kind of just because I think it would have I think you would have been more invested in like, especially like knowing how how things go for Natasha after Endgame. It's kind of like you knew it was kind of a send-off movie, and it kind of like and it kind of was like really trying to be in your face, like this is her moment. And it's like I get that, but like I don't know, it doesn't feel as the same as it would have been maybe if we didn't know how things were gonna go, kind of. But I think I like it, but it wasn't like continuity, like wait, where are we? What are we? It was pretty straightforward. It was like, oh, okay, so we're here and here. So like,
Thunderbolt Ross is after her, clearly right after Civil War.
Right.
They reference her attacking T'Challa, like we know where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, that part wasn't. Yeah, if you've seen Civil War, you're fine. Like that's that's how it should be. And I think it would have been nicer in that Black Panther Spider-Man cluster. But I mean, again, not a deal breaker by any means. I think if I rewatch them, I'm definitely gonna watch it that way though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that would be more. Because I think that's the one right before Infinity War now. Because I mean, she literally like.
So if I were doing a rewatch, I think I would do Civil War. Actually, either this one or Spider-Man, I think are the closest, like immediately after Civil War, because I think like Thor Ragnarok can go anywhere. Actually, the Ragnarok probably should come right before Infinity War, since after credits.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
Black Panther also technically does take place immediately after Civil War, but it also can kind of go wherever.
Because you're not really you're in Wakanda for most of it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So yeah, either Civil War, then either Spider-Man or Black Widow, either one of those.
I feel like I would go Black. I don't, because I know in Black Panther at the beginning they reference it's been like a week, I think, since Civil War. So
not after credits scene, but like the scene right before the credits takes place 2 weeks after the events of Civil War.
Right.
So if you want to go technically chronological, it should go Black Panther, then Black Widow. But
yeah, I think so, because Black Widow, it's very unclear how close to the start of Infinity War it is, because like obviously she gets the jet, she's got the hair now, but it's also like, okay, so is this like right, it's like, is she gonna go pick up Steve like right now, or like,
I mean, we knew that they were on the run, right? Her, Steve, and Sam were on the run together for at least 2 years, so like
that's true.
And I think Steve didn't break all of them out of the raft until after Natasha went and got him.
More than likely, right?
So really the end of Civil War, like the very, very end of Civil War, already takes place 2 weeks after the most of Civil War. So,
that is right, because it does kind of.
You know what? Who cares?
Close enough. It's fine. Like,
yes, essentially, if you're like showing someone the MCU, like if you're showing someone the MCU, essentially show them Black Panther between Civil War and Infinity War somewhere, but then don't show them the after credit scene.
Yeah, but that's. Yeah, I mean, but like you said, like I feel like as long as it's like ish in order, as long as you have the ones before and after Civil War, like it doesn't really
because
matter.
Some people swear by the MCU official canonical timeline, and I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous because the after credit scene specifically reference other movies. Like, imagine watching Captain Marvel second in your viewing in chronological order. It goes
No
first
way.
Avenger, Captain Marvel, and
Right, in
then
the 90s.
like you can't
You have no idea what's going on.
like not only is the after credit scene of that movie takes place after Infinity War, also at the very end of that movie when when Nick Fury is trying to think of a name for his new initiative, he's looking at Captain Marvel, Carol, the Avenger Danvers, starts playing the Avengers theme, but you wouldn't know it's the Avengers theme yet because
Right.
you haven't seen Avengers. Then when
Right.
that song plays in the Avengers, you're thinking, why is Captain Marvel's theme playing here? Like,
Right. And you're like, is it all about Carol? Like, is it? But yeah, and I think that's important too, because again, like, yeah, and they know they're making them different. Obviously, if they could, I feel like if they could redo it, I think they would maybe. But I mean, at the same time, they wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's kind of like Clone Wars, where it's like they're obviously like it could be there is a correct order to watch them in, but it's not like if you don't watch every episode exactly where it's supposed to be, you're going to be totally lost.
Yeah. Like apparently the first one with Admiral Trench is technically the first battle of the Clone Wars. That doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it kind of does, but it really does, because it's like that's the like space battle before they get on the planet that's in the movie, so it kind of makes sense.
But
it also is like, why is this in season 2 of the show?
Yeah. Also, not to mention Admiral Yularen is like at like Trench. I fought against him years ago. I just feels, I don't know. It just the Clone Wars should have lasted way longer than they did.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not the Clone Wars' fault. It's the fact that only three-ish years took place in between episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Well, it should have been like a 10-year saga. Anyway. Regardless. I think Black Widow handled, considering where it had to be put, I think it handled its contained story, yet staying true to the character and to the grander Marvel universe very well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think this was one of the more Marvel movies that we've had in a long time. Because it's like it felt exactly how a Marvel movie kind of feels. The action, the build up, the fight scenes, which we'll get to those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, respect.
Like this movie gave off crazy Winter Soldier vibes for several reasons. Again, we'll get to that more so later as well. But which, I mean, I'm not going to complain about movies feeling like Winter Soldier. Like, her and Yelena's interactions just felt very real, very like it's like these two people really were like, really did grow up together. And like the stakes were not as crazy as they were. Well, actually, they kind of were at the end. But I mean, they got like it just essentially, like you said, it did feel very like a Marvel movie. And I think I've said before, I really do think that this will be kind of like a send off to the more traditional Marvel stuff for a while, because future Marvel stuff, we already got Shang-Chi, then the Eternals, and then Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and like for the foreseeable future, Marvel stuff is gonna start getting crazier and crazier. This is probably gonna be the last of the more grounded Marvel stuff for a while.
Yeah,
I think it was a pretty good send off of that style.
Yeah, it's like when you think about the next 4 or 5 movies, it's like the next normal movie is going to be maybe Spider-Man, which might have which might have 3 Spider-Man in it. So like, I don't even know, because like, it's like, oh yeah, well, it's like, well, this one, well, they got, the Eternal, no, not the Eternal.
Even Black Panther is going to have Namor in it.
Right? So like, that's going to be a huge deal. Thor 4 is going to be, who knows how that's, that's going to be crazy probably.
Even Ant-Man's going to be.
Yeah, because it's like everything's going to be, there's going to be no like, this is going to be the like middle, like standard, even for this movie, things got kind of a little crazy, but like even standard stuff is going to be like, oh yeah, we used to handle that. That's not really a thing. But which does make sense though, because, after you go Thanos level, it's like you can't go all the way back down all the time and then expect the same engagement.
Exactly. So kind of touching on that a little bit, I will go ahead and get off my chest one of my tiny complaints with this movie. So this happens in action movies all the time. It's not just this movie, but it felt like in this movie in particular, the main characters had just the most insane plot armor ever.
Yo, okay, yeah.
So I get it. Even in previous Marvel movies, like Doctor Strange's, when he crashed, his car fell off a mountain and flipped 6 times.
Yeah,
he should be super dead.
Yeah.
So Taskmaster blew up their car. It flipped, went multiple times, went down into a subway station, skidded, and they just got out and were just like, "Oh, you're bleeding a little bit." Like,
right?
Bleeding like, a little bit.
Like no broken bones, like nothing. But
Natasha was limping.
Like, it was like I was like, you should never walk again. like, and not even just that. Like even the first Taskmaster fight where she gets like kicked off the bridge, like hits the van and then falls off a bridge. No, I'm like, I don't like that's death. I'm sorry, like that is death. You don't survive that.
I know that the Red Room taught her how to endure pain, but that's
not about pain. That's about like terminal velocity. Like there's no way.
Like I said, this stuff happens in Marvel, even like other like John Wick and other stuff, other action movies all the time. So it's not. But like especially since it is very explicitly said in these movies that Black Widow has no powers. Like in the comics, she has like some kind of weird enhancements sometimes, but like in here, outside of her assassin training, no powers.
Right. Like they even talk about how, you can go get your like, God friends or whatever, and like Steve Rogers all the time. But it's like, dude, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's great, but like that, you're a human. Especially how like other humans did not do the same things that like for example, like when they're doing the like rooftop chase, they like fall, bounce on like brick like multiple times and then smack the ground and like land on your leg. And I'm like, and then the other girl fell and like her leg was like snapped in half. And I was just like, wait a minute. You didn't like, I mean, like, I don't, it was very, I was like, okay, so like, we know who the main character is because
like, you sorry, got down. Sorry, like, Widow number 4.
Immediately takes off running like nothing happened. The other person's never going to walk again. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of wild.
Like, it wouldn't be that crazy, like, in a post Falcon and Winter Soldier world where we know that this like what's the word reverse engineered super soldier serum was like out there. Like we can just imply that they have some kind of super soldier serum in them, maybe, but this is well before that.
That was just, and that was kind of the thing that happened a lot in this movie. Like it was noticeable multiple times, and that's what kind of bothered me.
Black Widow broke her nose and got just annihilated by 50 widows, and then she was still able to fight Taskmaster flying through the like. I don't.
That's what. Yeah, it was like it kind of felt like that scene didn't even happen.
Oh yeah, that happens in Marvel movies all the time, but like.
But like, it's like, when someone gets, usually, there's a reason Captain America can do this all day. He's got, he has a reason. There's, he's not a regular person. Like, Widow is just kind of, you should be done for. Like, again, like, I mean, already got pretty beat up. I mean, not beat up, but got hit a bunch of times by Dreykov, broke her nose on purpose, got obliterated by like, at least 15, 20 widows.
He held her own for a while, but
but like there's so many of them, and they're all like very good. You know what I mean? So it's not like she's like, I mean, she's just that good that they don't even bother her, because I mean, she got beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
And then all right after that, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna like, I understand adrenaline's a thing and all that, but like that, I felt like she was like fine. The whole time. Like I would like her, she should have still, because like even like after the scene where she broke her nose, like her nose like didn't even look like it was bleeding anymore or like anything. And it was kind of just like, I mean, your nose is still broken. Like you don't just unbreak it.
She did the thing but like maybe it feels better, but it's still
Like, yeah, like
you can't smell again. Like
yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like if I snap my arm out of place and like put it back, it's not like, oh, the pain's gone. Like you still got your shoulder dislocated. Like that's still gonna hurt like crazy for a while. But I don't know. The plot armor was strong with this one,
yeah, like
which I mean, granted, she wasn't gonna die, but I mean, they didn't have to make it
exactly.
that like. Oof.
Yeah, it that definitely bothered me a lot more. Like walking out of the theater, like after a couple of weeks ruminating on, I'm just like I don't really care anymore. But like, especially like right as it was happening, I'm like I don't know how if I can get behind this, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like
a
when
good.
in the moment you're kind of like, you know what, I'll let it slide. But when it started adding up, I was kind of like, all right, let me keep track of how many deaths there should have been. Like,
Yeah,
at least 2, probably 3, honestly. But I
probably
mean,
because even when they were skydiving there at the end, like she didn't activate her parachute until she was
right?
really close to the ground.
Also, like, okay, so like she gives the parachute to the sister, and then she kind of just doesn't splat. Kind of, it was kind of weird because like the whole like Taskmaster thing is like I'm like, well, I don't think that would like slow you down. That would kind of.
I think I guess she did. Taskmaster have one?
I don't think so.
Because
I'm pretty sure they just jumped at each other and then kind of just slid on falling debris and didn't die.
Right.
Which was kind of
not
like
work.
that. I was kind of like, so are we just gonna forget how like, you know what? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a physics guy, but like, I don't know if that's how that works. Like, we were getting some Fast and Furious physics going near at the end, so that was a little interesting. Because it would have been easy just to like at the last minute. Because I thought what they're gonna do is like at the last minute she has like a small parachute, and then like Taskmaster falls or something. But
no, they just
they kind of just survive because. Also, I mean, I guess spoilers, but okay. So you know how like when they're talking about Dreykov and like they blew up a building, and then it's like we thought he was dead, he was not.
Yep.
But then in this movie, a helicopter blows up, but like no one's like, oh, we got to make sure this time. And I'm like,
we see it happen.
But like they didn't really see. And also, I mean, we saw it the first time, so it's not like
saw the daughter blow up, and he was assumed to be in the room with her.
But
then the
still,
daughter didn't die.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like if we went through all of that and like you survived that, I would have still looked for a body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I understand that like they had the feds were coming, so they had to get.
Maybe the other widows that were freed like checked. I don't know.
Maybe, but like I don't know. That's a lot of interpretation. I don't know. I just thought I was kind of like, are we just gonna make sure he's dead this time? Because he blew up the last time. Yeah. It's like like, just to be sure, like, because again, we might do this all again next week for all we know if we don't make sure. So, but yeah,
I mean there's a chance we still could do it if Iron Maiden, what's her name, the mom character, she's like she's the villain in the comics, like she is totally gonna like not like I think I wouldn't be surprised if the mom Melina, is that her name?
I think so.
Yeah, because it was very close to Yelena. Melina, I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back at least as a antagonistic force in the future. Because she kind of gives off that vibe of like it seemed a little too easy. It seemed like everything she did, she was kind of like hindering herself just to make it look believable. I don't know, because she built that place, yet it kind of felt like she was caught off guard about things when she shouldn't have been. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be a double cross because I was kind of like, there's no way she would just go. Oh, and like because there was no reason to really. Like they were just kind of like, yeah, we'll go along with it. And I was kind of like, really?
Yeah. Like yeah, just for how confident she was, and I really enjoyed her character. Just her being like, yeah, I blew up one of the engines. We'd probably get out of here. Just her like matter of factness of that just felt very suspect to me. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't. And again, they're still. I mean, they like you said, they might build the stuff. Maybe it was like maybe she wants to take over the program. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe she knows something we don't.
Yeah. Or
But
maybe if like Yelena continues being Black Widow, they'll get a Black Widow 2 or or
probably,
whatever, and she'll kind of be around as well.
maybe I don't know something like that. But yeah, that was always like that was something that I was kind of like not because again, she always felt like out of the four of them, she was definitely the most likely to be a traitor, like for sure. So it was like because again, like, and I go back to the years thing because again, I mean, especially for the parents, the 3 years does not seem like it would need nearly enough to double cross all that.
Yeah.
Especially for her, him, I can see it because he's bitter. Like
Mhm.
I'd be bitter too, but like her, I was like, really?
It is very cool. I thought that when you're just watching the intro, and if going in don't know anything about these characters, you maybe know that Natasha, like the little girl with blue hair, that's Natasha. You don't know anyone else. It is very cool watching the family dynamic kind of unfold in front of you, and then later finding out, oh, the mom in the room, like she's like second in command of the bread room. Like that is like, if I'm rewatching that scene again, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is like I
Right?
like because it's kind of in the intro, it's just kind of implied that the dad is the one who like got into the trouble.
Right.
She probably sent him on that mission.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Which
Yeah.
is kind of cool. And something, yeah, I think rewatching that is a big deal because again, you don't realize how big, she kind of, it kind of feels like she's kind of dragged in it with the kids.
Mhm.
But really, it's probably her call, and he's kind of just, well, I got to do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, and I think that's a really cool aspect, and I think I like that they kind of like throw you in, like you kind of have to figure it out as you go, kind of.
Yeah.
That was my thing about that. I was like, because I was totally expecting the double cross. I thought she, Natasha thought she was gonna be like, I got this, and that, kind of like the whole like, what was the pheromones thing, but like
Yeah.
worse.
Mhm.
Which again, that one, how'd you feel about that? Because it was like,
I thought it was pretty clever. So this movie kind of had major themes of control, like even when Natasha felt like she had complete control over her life, like she felt like she outsmarted this guy. It doesn't matter because like just simple basic programming, literally like he programmed into her, you cannot hurt me. Even if you've gotten
right.
this far, you can try everything possible and it just won't matter. Like that just, and I think I'll touch on that even more when we talk about Taskmaster in a second. But I just think this villain, for how kind of like understated he was, as far as like you know compared to the greater MCU, he's not really like, on paper he's not as big a threat as like some other major Marvel villains, but just for the movie that we got, I think how what they did with him, how exactly just the way he was evil, I thought really worked. Yeah, so I think the whole pheromones thing is just an extra layer of, yes, I literally already mind control y'all to do, like I literally have a chip in your head to make you do things for me. Even if you break free, oh, like you can't, like
There's
yeah,
nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
yeah,
Even if you free yourself, you can't like stop me.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think it was interesting. I like the concept. Maybe the actual like pheromones thing. Maybe if it was like a kind of like what they kind of like, not exactly like Winter Soldier, kind of more like Roy Harper and Young Justice, where he had like the code where they kind of just shut down.
right.
That would have, I think that would have been a little cooler, but I think it's the same idea. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that. But yeah, I think it was a cool concept where it was just kind of like this operation is so deep, like you can't even like no one. And it's like even though like mom or whatever has the same programming, it's like no one can
Yeah,
hurt him.
but
Whatever. So. But I
the
did think it was kind
the
of cheesy how she just broke it so easily. I was like,
I mean, she had to break her nose to do it.
I mean, yeah, but I mean,
Like it seemed to really affect her. I I did really enjoy the reveal that like that like the like face swap thing. I really did
Oh
enjoy
yeah, yeah, like it was like the callback too.
because
Yeah, I really like
at
that.
first I thought like when she was sitting there, I first thought it was like a reveal for the movie itself to be like Black Widow was still under his control the whole time. Like he that's what I initially thought. I was like,
No,
oh, no, but like
no,
what they
yeah.
did was better. But that's initially like, oh crap! Like
Like
he
this is
has Black
like
Widow.
later. It's like what?
What we got was still very cool.
But no, I really did like the thing from Winter Soldier with like the face
Mm.
disguise. However that works, I still don't know. Like
No.
I don't know, but it's super cool to look at. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then she's just kind of like, I was like, oh, brother's like, I don't get it. I was like, ah, like,
Mm.
what? It's a casual, ah.
Mm-hmm.
But
So one more quick thing I'll have it on my mind before we really dive into Taskmaster. I think so. I think the trailers for this movie really didn't do it justice. Like going into this movie, I was thinking it was just kind of gonna be just like I said, just another Marvel movie, like kind of on like a lower tier, like B-ish tier, very basic action. Like the set design, the CG is not going to be fantastic and whatnot. Just from the trailers. For the record, I never actually saw one of the trailers in theaters.
yeah, well, they didn't really have them.
Exactly. I never got a chance.
Yeah.
This is only the second movie I've seen since trailers of the movie would have come out. So yeah. So I think watching it in the theater just made it look just so much better. Like Taskmaster's outfit, I thought looked kind of lame in the trailers, but on the big screen, it looked way better. The action scenes just looked brighter, just looked better and had more depth to them. Just people who watch this on Disney Plus, like I'm sure they enjoyed it, but I just think you lose something if you don't watch it on the big screen with
I agree.
all the fidelity.
Agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, especially with like some of the more vast shots too. Like the chase scenes or like the whole prison scene or like I think being in theater definitely helped with that.
The scenes with her in the white outfit in the snow area, I thought those scenes were particularly grody in the trailers, but in like the white just like popped out at you and I thought it was very nice.
It was that very in your face kind of like neon white kind of.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that's a thing, but
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. So what do you think about how they did Taskmaster?
I was not a fan personally. I was not. Because for two reasons. One, because the way they've done it now, it kind of you can't really use it really. I mean, you can, but it kind of it's not really the same if you use it again. You know what I mean? It kind of like I think how they used it was good. I just think they kind of capped it. You know, kind of how Marvel for a while was having good villains, and that's the last time we get them. So I kind of feel like, oh man, because especially Taskmaster. Taskmaster really is like that villain who can like be applied to everybody.
Kind of. Yeah. So
good.
Oh, sorry. Do you have anything else?
No. I mean, that was just I feel like Taskmaster could have honestly been the villain if they wanted to. I mean, I liked Draco. I thought it was fine, but I really think if they really wanted to, Taskmaster could have been the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So here's kind of my thought process with Taskmaster. I think when making this movie, the writers, like their initial thought was, okay, we want to introduce Taskmaster into this universe in Black Widow. We think that he would be a very solid adversary for Black Widow. She, is very good at hand-to-hand combat. It would make sense for him to have, been around for a little while to copy other people's powers too, for her to fight, essentially fight other Avengers. It's just really cool concept for this character. We also really want to capitalize on that Easter egg in the first Avengers movie where Loki mentioned the blood in her ledger with Dracov's daughter.
Mm.
It would be kind of cool if that came back and Dracov's daughter actually grew up to be a villain, but is actually still mind controlled by Dracov. Okay, so let's kind of combine these ideas. They're both really good ideas, and I really do think that they worked well in this movie. I just kind of feel like if so I'm going to say something and then kind of contradict in just a second. I think that if they had just gone all in on one of those ideas, it probably would have been a lot stronger.
Yeah.
However, they never specifically called her Taskmaster. They said they said activate the Taskmaster protocol. Meaning, like there could be several Taskmasters out there, or maybe she's the only Taskmaster, part of the Taskmaster protocol right now, but later maybe Melina or some other villain down the road, optimizes the idea, or some villain just themselves gets a hold of it and optimizes the technology for their personal uses. And like the real Taskmaster, kind of similar to Mandarin, after 7 years after Iron Man 3, we're finally getting, the real Mandarin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what people think. Because I think, I think his name is like something Masters and like
real. So his name is Tony. I think it's Tony Masters.
I think that's right.
And I think the girl's name is Antonia. So like it's technically like the
Tony
name,
Masters.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it is very possible that in the future we could still get someone who is the Taskmaster.
Right.
Have it be either part of their power set, or the helmet and ship will enhance their powers to really utilize it better. I think it could also been a thing where, like, when making the movie, they had the idea of wanting to have Taskmaster be the villain, and then also have the girl kind of, grow up to be some villain. But they're like, this villain, from the main character's past, who was mind controlled by the main villain, who wears a mask to do the dirty work for them. But then at the end of the movie is like kind of redeemed. I think they were like, well, that's too similar to Winter Soldier. So instead of having them be their own thing for this movie, we're just going to make them Taskmaster. And I think it did work for this movie. I really do think, like, I think the different like fighting style that Taskmaster did with the claws, the different flips, the knife flip, everything was utilized perfectly. I felt he was a decent. I keep going to call Taskmaster he.
I mean, it's been a he up until this point, as far as my knowledge.
The Taskmaster in this movie. I think the fight on the bridge perfectly encapsulated what the Taskmaster should have been for the entire movie. I think after that fight, it kind of lost its like imposing force to it a little bit. Because Tasha just barely being able to hold her own. Like Taskmaster being easily able to think on a dime and like analyze her moves and like cut the wire and like do a bunch of other different like things that she just like can't deal with at first. But then I think kind of once the movie started going more, like he did show up a couple of times, but he kind of lost that like imposingness that
it wasn't. He kind of, I mean, and I kind of said this to my brother in the movie, and I was like, they kind of made like it went from what could have been like a standalone villain, and it kind of just felt like an extra hard goon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
mini boss almost, and it was kind of like, oh, that's not really,
like Taskmaster. To my knowledge, he's generally not like the main villain of any major arcs in comics. He's like the guy who trains the henchmen for other people, and like people, he's like an assassin that they send in, like kind of like Deathstroke, where there's like need somebody to take care of him. so they send him off to kill Spider-Man or whoever.
Mhm.
So he's never like, not never, but he's not like generally like the main adversary for any given hero, but he could carry his own movie, and I think he could have. But I think the story we got, I think the adaptation we got for a character who is from the Taskmaster protocol, with that person being Markov's daughter, all grown up, I think worked.
Right,
Yeah.
but I think it only kind of worked for this movie. And like when I see Taskmaster, I'm hoping I'm seeing a potential like multi-movie adversary, and I guess that's
Yeah.
kind of what disappoints me more
Like,
because it's like in this movie, sure, whatever, but like going forward, I was like, oh man, Taskmaster might fight Spider-Man or Black Panther or like anybody, it's
yeah, Captain
Taskmaster.
America, whoever. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
essentially,
new Captain America and
mm,
Winter Soldier. That would have been a good one actually. I'm
yeah.
kind of surprised. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of surprised he didn't have a set of wings.
I mean,
I mean, that would have been too much, but I mean, still.
yeah. He did kind of have like a backpack thing, kind of create any weapons.
Right? So, like, I was kind of thinking, like, that would have been, like, if he had a,
Yeah.
kind of like in Falcon Winter Soldier, where he, like, does, like, the jetpack and then, like, jumps into a punch.
Mhm.
Like, that would have been kind of cool or something.
Yeah. Like, I, this is definitely something that bugged me way more walking out of theater. After a week or so, I'm just kind of like, it doesn't bother me nearly as much anymore. But essentially, what was I saying? Lost your train of thought. What was I saying?
Something that bothered you more walking out, but you've gotten over lately.
Yes.
Essentially.
Oh, right. Essentially, if Taskmaster were even like a fifth of as cool as he was in the comics, as he was, like, if he was even like, if he was, maybe the best way to put this. So essentially, Taskmaster is one of the like coolest adversaries in Marvel Comics. What I'm getting
Yes.
at. If he was only as fifth of a cool as he is in Marvel Comics, I think this would be generally more accepted. But because he is as cool as he is, people have a problem with the change. And I think even if Taskmaster in this movie had just a little more screen time, if the fight with a Red Guardian lasted a little longer, if he showed up a couple more times throughout, if like the second major interaction was just him in a tank, I think people would have had generally a stronger, like a stronger opinion of it. But I don't think just because this one character like was part of the Taskmaster protocol and did Taskmaster things, I legitimately think 6-7 years down the line we could get a real Taskmaster in this universe.
Okay, yeah, and I think I think that idea is true. Like, I think this is one of those things that right now, if like not no, if they don't add anything with Taskmaster because of this, then I feel like that's a lot missed opportunity. But if this leads to something else, then I will look at this differently.
Exactly.
But we'll have to, only time will tell. But
Yeah.
I honestly, like you said, like I really think Taskmaster deserved a lot more screen time. Because honestly, like I looked on YouTube for like the compilation of like all the like moves, and it's only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long, and I'm like, man, either in the theater it made it longer, or I just savored those moments in my mind because like there wasn't a lot of like, especially like in the like subway scene where they kind of just got away, and I was like,
yeah, okay.
I feel like they should have got away.
You're right. You're right.
This wasn't that good of a hiding spot.
Yeah. And also, not to mention, like this Taskmaster was freed from Markov's control and was taken in by the other widows. So we still potentially could kind of get this Taskmaster in the future doing Taskmaster things with the other widows or with other, like, actually if like Melina still kind of manipulates Taskmaster going forward. Like, I think it's very possible that even though this Taskmaster might not necessarily be, the one people wanted, I do think they could utilize this character going forward and or bring in one that's the real Taskmaster later. So
yeah, that's true. Kind of like the real. Yeah, I think if we get to the point where there's a real Taskmaster, and then, especially if they kind of make it look like the like comic design too for this time, like we're serious this time.
Yeah, like I said, the suit looked a lot better in the cinema.
Yeah,
but still, like I liked the white. I like the white a lot.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. Like, and the thing too is, but I think obviously because Black Widow had a very white costume, they were like, okay, we can't have both of the two things be white. But also, I think, yeah, the suit looked kind of. I mean, it was good. It was good. I think it could have been better, but I mean, I remember thinking, yeah, I like it because like it was enough. You could see it. It still looked cool, and like utilizing and I think the utilizing skills thing, I think that's so because Marvel movies have gotten to that point where like fan service is just adored with continuity or callbacks or whatever. And I feel like they could have done so much more if that's meant to have more time. Because like again, they do a lot of good stuff. It's even stuff I didn't even think about because like everyone sees like the Black Panther cause, obviously the bow and arrow, the shield's like in your face, obviously, but there's other stuff like finding out move sequences, even like the swinging thing. I didn't even think about Spider-Man. I was like, oh yeah, like I didn't even think about that. Like, but it's also like I feel like that could have like really gone somewhere if they had like kept going with that. And also like I don't know, it felt like it was just kind of disappointing because I kind of just like, man, he just really isn't really doing it. Because even the fight with Red Guardian was kind of not only did you not see a lot of it, but also just felt kind of like it wasn't the biggest. It was kind of one of the like B things going on because they were like she was in the main room, they were fighting, and then also like I think they were trying to like free the widows also at the same time. So it was a lot going on. So you kind of weren't that engaged in the fight because it wasn't really the main thing going on.
It also didn't like that fight in particular didn't have the highest stakes. Like essentially Red Guardian was just kind of holding off Taskmaster anyway. So it wasn't really like a necessary thing for us to see. We just kind of assuming Red Guardian is holding his own enough to kind of keep Taskmaster at bay.
Right. And it kind of didn't really matter anyway. Yeah. It's like no matter I don't even remember who won the fight, but it's like it didn't really matter because it was kind of irrelevant because the other things worked out. So it kind of just like so that's the thing. It's like Taskmaster was really cool, but like it just didn't feel like it could have been utilized more, at least for me.
I really do appreciate that they were, able to like let me rephrase this. I think, like I said before, I think the Taskmaster we got really did work for this movie. It's just interesting that like I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake, but it's interesting that they did something similar that they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, where it's like for that movie, I think the Mandarin twist was perfect. I think like him being like the more like traditional Mandarin was kind of like a front for the real villain. I think that was actually really cool. Like kind of the bait and switch with like fan expectation versus what actually was going on, I think was a really clever twist on the character and actually play with the plot very well. But because these characters are so cool in the comics, and because just at this point, especially at phase 4 has been so good about making characters look and feel very close to their comic counterparts. It was interesting to say the least for them to be doing to changing up this character like they did. Yeah, I liked what I got, but I definitely do think it was a kind of weird decision.
Yeah, I stand by. I'm not a huge fan of it. Again, it was fine, but I was disappointed because I really thought Taskmaster was going to be like one of the new staple villains, kind of just going forward.
Yeah.
Especially like, can you imagine like if like going down maybe Shang-Chi and Taskmaster figured out some of his moves? I mean, that would be. But
Yeah, like honestly, kind of all around, I kind of rate this movie very similarly to Iron Man 3, which by the way, I love Iron Man 3. I think that movie gets way too much hate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, like I said, it's not what people wanted in the Mandarin. The villain, like the real villain with like weird firepower, it wasn't like the most compelling, but I think pretty much every single character was spot on. The pacing was very strong. The just the action in Iron Man 3 is very, very solid.
Yeah, and like the stakes feel a lot more real.
Yeah.
At least. And also like it just feels like it's okay. Granted, the ending is essentially worthless because literally, but again, it's like, did you really think Iron Man was gonna stop being Iron Man? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, it's like it's kind of dumb, but I mean, you also get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's very good. It has good like, I think the stakes are good. I think how it's handled is well, and also I like how even though I think they changed the theme like every movie, but I did like the Iron Man 3 theme pretty good.
Oh yeah, the music in that movie is insane. And the music in Black Widow was also like pretty good.
Yes, it really had really good soundtrack, which is
but so yeah, like I think if I were to put it in like a Marvel movie ranking, I think I would put it pretty like probably higher than Iron Man 3, but just like a little bit higher. Although Iron Man 3 would I'd still again be like pretty high up on my personal list.
Okay.
Like it's definitely like Black Widow is not the best Marvel movie ever, but it's by far not the worst. It is not even middle of the road. It is like kind of upper third. But there's a lot of competition in that upper third.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of good ones. Like especially since our last ranking, there's a lot of good ones.
Oh yeah, like I at some point we just need to redo our rank, like a very quick like rundown of what our new ranking is, because I don't agree with half my choices.
No, I feel like maybe like at the end of the year after this slate. But then again, maybe then we get some more coming. I don't know. Maybe we gotta find a good like pause time
after October, like between Shang-Chi and Eternals.
Maybe, but then again, it's like, but then there's gonna be a new Spider-Man soon, and that's probably gonna shake things up. So like,
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay, so wait. I want to ask you this because I was thinking this too. Okay, so obviously there's the scene with the car chase with the like bow and arrow. Obviously, the like with Taskmaster. Now, obviously the bow and arrow is a Hawkeye thing, but do you think because the bow and arrow kind of like went under the car and then it like blew it up, flipped it over, kind of? Do you think that's kind of a Winter Soldier thing also?
Yes, there was
right.
Like I said earlier, this movie has insane Winter Soldier vibes.
It does.
that I and I have a feeling that like they had to have gotten like the footage from what Nick Fury's car or something like that. Just makes sense.
Yeah, because again, especially like it's different because like it wasn't him just walking up to it and just being like a total just like awesome, just jump.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of the same idea, so it was really cool. And of course, the car goes flying. It's daytime, it's a busy road, and then everyone says yeah, and then cars going.
Yeah, that was a really like cool parallel to that.
Yeah, I think and that's what I liked about that. I think there was a lot of. I feel like this movie could have had a lot more stuff like that, but again, I get it. But
yeah, like this movie did juggle a lot of characters very well. Like the core four, I think it handled very well. Red Guardian didn't get to do a lot, but I think
not really.
I think he's like of the four characters outside of maybe Alina, he's the one who's primed for his own thing in the future. He's either going to show up in the future thing or have his own show or movie down the line. Like
he's got a big personality, so you feel like he's going to be seen him in something. I feel like he's going to be someone in a show though.
Yes,
not so much a movie. Like I feel like if they get like Leno in the Black Widows or something, I don't know how that's going to go, but I mean, he'd definitely be more, but because he kind of has that like almost like a those characters who like they're not the main character, but like like a Korg or like a Louise or something like that, kind of like he kind of gives that kind of vibe. We're not least obviously he contributes more because he has more strength.
Yeah, like, Wong, Louise.
Yeah, like the the memorable side character, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'll be. I miss Wong.
Up in Shang-Chi.
I
Just
know.
for a little bit.
So sick.
Yeah. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you somehow haven't seen Black Widow yet and got through this without caring about spoilers, I guess. I really do recommend it. Like it's at least an 8 out of 10. Like I could easily go 8.5. Like I said, there are a couple of things here and there that I just have like little nitpicks with, but even then it's like either they're irrelevant because they other Marvel movies this happens in, or it's really a nitpick only because that's how it is in the comics. And for the movie itself, I can't take points off because I thought it worked for the movie.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking a solid right now. I give it a solid 7, but depending on how things go moving forward with like if things from this movie kind of carry on to other things, it has potential for growth. But its floor is a 7 right now.
Got it. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably the high is like 8.7, floor is 7.8. Like, essentially, yeah, if Taskmaster doesn't really return or doesn't do much or whatever, like, or if like Yelena or if these other like side characters don't really do much in the future, it might lower just a little bit. But right now, I could easily see it even going higher. So, yep. So yeah, it was just also so good just to watch a Marvel movie in theaters again.
Yeah. I mean, when I know we've been watching shows and like they all have the like Marvel intro thing, but seeing it in the theater again was I got very excited.
2 years to the date after Spider-Man Far From Home, I finally saw it in theaters. Like it's been 2 years since watching a Marvel movie in theaters.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah. July of 2019 was the last time a Marvel movie.
That is right, because that was after Endgame and that was the summer. Oh my goodness. That was 2 years ago. Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Now I remember because I was just I was like it started because like the music goes and I'm like, oh, here we go again. And like, oh man. And
yeah, maybe just the novelty of finally watching a Marvel thing in theaters is kind of like skewing my view upwards, but I legitimately think this is just a very, very solid Marvel movie. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, even Marvel movies, Far From Home, Endgame, Captain Marvel, even Infinity War at times, I'm like, there are some things here and there that I just kind of like either major nitpicks or things that bug me more than they should, but this movie really there aren't that many of those. So yeah, overall, I think I especially on future viewings, like I'm just not really gonna find much fault with it. I'm just gonna enjoy it. Yeah.
It's a good fun movie. It kind of like you say, it kind of captured that like Winter Soldier vibe a little bit, but it also kind of goes into its own too. It has like different elements to it, so I think it works really well. And I think the supporting characters really help the film because, like I said, always like I usually say, like characters really determine how good something can really be, and also like the limit to how bad it is. Because if you like all the characters, they can just be going to the grocery store, and it's great movie. So
yeah. So yeah, speaking of great Marvel content, Loki finally wrapped up. Spoilers for Loki. Oh my goodness.
I mean, everything you thought you knew, you didn't really know, basically. So spoilers, but also wow.
Legitimately, I didn't think I could like any Marvel thing as much as I did WandaVision, like kind of ever. This is really close, if not right there.
I'm not gonna lie, I
don't know.
I feel like it's a little better. I'm not gonna lie. I love WandaVision for multiple reasons because I just like watching TV. Yeah. So when it does different eras of TV, I'm like, oh, I know what show this is. Oh, it's like me and my brother are watching. He's like, wait, they're doing the thing from Malcolm in the Middle, where it's like, yeah, I know, because we love that show. My mom watches a whole bunch of old shows, so like, it's great. But at the same time, Loki just drags you in instantly. Like you are in it immediately because it's just like And what I really liked about it, especially in the beginning, is it didn't take too long to catch you to like get Loki up to speed.
Yep.
Because that was my worry. Because I knew it wasn't that long of a show, and I was like, all right, was Loki gonna be? I mean, because this is like fresh off in New York Loki.
Yes.
So it's like, oh man, this guy is still like, I am a god among god. Just got bodied by the Hulk like 5 minutes ago.
Mhm.
Like, he's really gonna be, but again, very quickly. And I like how they did the whole thing where he basically watches,
Yep.
he binges the MCU basically,
Mhm.
catches up to all the parts he was there for, and realizes, maybe this whole being bad thing ain't the move. So,
Oh yeah, because essentially one of my biggest like concerns with this show was that, like you said, the Loki of this show wasn't going to be the Loki from Thor Ragnarok. Like it was
right.
going to be a different character because Loki has been through a lot throughout these
Yeah.
movies. So kind of afraid that going back to that Loki, like it might technically be more like true form of Loki, but as far as like comics go, but I thought the movie Loki that we've been building to all these years, I think is a stronger character. I was kind of afraid like having this new take on Loki was gonna kind of be a problem, but yeah, like the fact that right out of the gate they were just like, we're gonna as fast as possible get Loki to essentially all the character development from
Yeah.
all this just right out of the gate. Here we go, and then Loki you know and love is here. Go from there, and like
Right, and the reason it doesn't feel like just randomly rushed is because that was they used basically the same. It kind of felt like the same character, just
yeah,
through a different way of getting there. It's like the same steel, just a different type of fire. So
mm,
it was really interesting to
yeah.
see that.
And I just felt like just the world building of the TVA was also just done so very cleverly. Like
Yeah.
just the imagery of Loki running around and like going to that storage room, picking up a time stone, just it not working, and like seeing this drawer of other infinity stones, and just being like, and you just see in his face like the entire time he didn't think this place was like legit. He didn't like he thought he could still rule this place. He thought like he was still in charge, but after like trying to use the time stone, you just see his face is just like, huh, I I just just you just feel just the weight of this situation just bearing onto him, and just it was so good.
It's like the realization of just
Mm.
like I need to sit down. I mean, and I
Yeah.
love, yeah, I like how it just sets up this like, because again, time travel's been used in like so many media, so many times. I mean, it's literally already been used kind of in this universe,
Yeah.
but they completely like, it's not even like, it's completely its own thing. It's totally different. How they handle it is really good. How they just, yeah, we just kind of have the TVA. This is just, we're just basically, I don't even know, I don't know. It's it's its own thing. It's really cool how they do it. It's really smart. And then I I love it when he's like trying to like figure it out, and they're like, "Ticket, please," and he's like, "I don't want to take a ticket." And he sees the other guy, like, "I don't want to." He just gets to sitting right, and
Yeah.
he's just like, he's like I have never related so much to a scene in my. I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Mhm.
Like we've all been there. We're like, oh my, where is it? Where is it? Both hands. He's like, I got it. I got it. Like, I was rolling on that
Mhm.
scene. Because like he looked like the panic is so real right there. He just
Mhm.
sees somebody get wasted so easily.
Yeah.
So funny.
And yeah, just every single character introduced in the TV. Obviously, Owen Wilson's character, uh, A15, the like main time cop, not like the main judge, but like the other one. But even the
Okay.
judge, like just they're all. I just thought every single major character was just very compelling to the point where like you weren't sure if any of them were really villains. You weren't sure if they knew if like obviously from the jump you knew something was up, but you weren't sure if the people in the TVA knew what was really going on. Like I just everything, like all of the world building and everything that like essentially I think the pacing of the show is so perfectly just you talk for a minute. This is
Fair
one of
enough.
essentially this is one of those shows that like just so much happens, so much good stuff about it. I just have a hard time like really going into what all I really enjoyed about it. So yeah, you talk for a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean this show is really good. It does a lot of things. It kind of has the same kind of mystery, suspicious kind of
Mm,
thriller kind of vibe that WandaVision had, which is why I think it does that really well. But what it also does well is that it's like I think the world building adds to that and makes that even greater because you are kind of just literally thrown into this whole thing
mhm,
and you're learning along with Loki, which always helps because he doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, but everyone else seems to know what's going
mhm.
on. So you're kind of just like, okay, what are we doing? And again, I think the acting's great. Owen Wilson does a phenomenal. Like he really gets the job like a down. It's just kind of like it. Like when he feels done with Loki, it's so like yeah, he's just like all right, you know what? You want to do this
Yeah.
like you here you go into limbo for a while, we'll calm down and come back. And I love
Mhm. Oh yeah, Owen Wilson was absolutely a highlight from this. It's just like
absolutely
the scene where he's talking to that to I can't remember her name, but like the like main judge lady. Do
mm-hmm.
you remember her name?
uh no but she
Really cool name, but whatever.
it's like
And like he
Goose?
like puts his drink down, and she's like, "Please use the coaster," and he's like, "That coffee stain was already there."
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because she like looks like a lot of those TV judges, like the People's Court and all this stuff. And I was like, is that like I was thinking, I was like, is that one of those judges? I didn't want to look up the cast or anything. I didn't want to like somehow get it spoiled or
Right.
something. But I was like, is that? I feel like I've seen her on like a TV, but like I don't think it
No.
wasn't. No, but she had the look. She had it down too. Like I was like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
yeah, that was really worked out. But yeah, it was really interesting how they kind of like had all these like this whole organization set. They have roles, they have like the detective guy, the judge guy. They've got just office people,
Mhm.
and then they've got like people who go out into the field and everything. I think that was like really cool and like
Oh yeah.
like yeah, they have all this set up, and then the whole like. Oh yeah, we need a Loki to catch a Loki, and of course Loki like oh yeah, of course I know what I'm doing, and of course does not
Yeah.
like at all. Oh, I was gonna fool them the whole time. Was
Mhm.
not going to do.
And like something that even still, even though we know like how it ended, I really do wonder if like for example, like in episode 2 when they went to that carnival and like the that dimension was that timeline was about to redline. I really do wonder if that variant timeline actually did hit the nexus point, would like what would actually happen? Because clearly by the end of the show we established that everything was going perfectly according to plan. He was like keeping everything at bay until he wasn't.
Mm,
Is it like any nexus point is like he just can't control it anymore, the guy at the end just can't
right.
control it anymore, or is it like one specific thing is what causes the multiverse and this is just a fear mongering scheme just to kind of keep things in order? Like I don't know.
I think I don't know. It kind of might be both because again, it's like you believe him, but also there has to be more to it than that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's like he's. I mean, obviously he's somewhat right, but it's probably a lot more complicated, or he's leaving out important details because it probably doesn't have to. But it's like it's probably not just one specific point though, because again, that would be kind of granted. When they got there, it's like, oh well, we reached. This is the first time. I don't know what's gonna happen, kind of thing. But it was also
But
like
why? Yeah, like it
that
just
doesn't really.
well yeah, like probably it has something to do with what Wanda was doing in WandaVision. Like that just I feel like
Do you think that's connected?
because they referenced, Nexus events in WandaVision. They referenced
That's
that she's
true. That's
a
true.
reality bending abilities. Like it very easily could be her like accepting the fact that she is Scarlet Witch and getting the new suit and everything. Like it could be that is what caused the Nexus event. And like
Interesting.
because why else would she show up in Multiverse of Madness if it's not directly her fault? Like
Well, yeah, I mean,
um but is it a thing where it's like this Kang, did he always intend on that happening and he was kind of being coy about him not actually knowing what was happening next? Or was it like, I don't know. Like why did he allow this to happen? Why wasn't that stopped if that was a Nexus event? Why hasn't other stuff caused other Nexus events in the past? Like it just feels like it was too convenient for once Loki and Sylvie were there, that is when multiverse started happening. It's almost as
right,
if they couldn't have stopped it even if they wanted to.
right. So it's kind of just occurring. Whether so maybe that's like you said, they're like happening on top of each other, and then something else might happen again by the time Doctor Strange comes out. But
Yeah. So yeah, just something about the way he said he was being handed, but I don't know if I can believe him. Like I believe that he is the good one and he
no,
is
but
like keeping all the other Kangs and all their different
well, even he
universes at
kind of
bay,
said
but
he's like, I'm the bad guy, but like
they're worse.
not. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't believe him still. Like
Yeah.
especially in this like show about you have to learn to trust. It's like not really. I mean maybe each other, but I'm not gonna trust some guy I just saw like who may in fact be trying to manipulate the universe and we don't even
Yeah.
know.
I did really well, I love Sylvie's character,
Yes.
period. I just feel like she just brought a lot to this show as a whole. um Loki falling in love with himself is so good. Some people hate that and I'm just like it's perfect. I love it.
It makes total sense in my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? Because it is Loki. Who likes more Loki more than Loki? You know what I mean? So it totally makes sense.
Yeah, and like her being just so single-minded for good reason about wanting to destroy every part of the TVA, like every part of the institution that has been making forcing her on the run for who knows how long. um and just the imagery of them going to the timekeepers in episode 4 and them just being robots. Like did the timekeepers ever actually exist and this is just like what remains? Were they always robots that were just being manipulated by Kang? Like what?
That's the thing. We don't know.
We don't know.
like obviously, for those of you who haven't heard, there is another season coming out.
Yes.
But I have more questions than answers after watching the show, and it's just like that's good, but it also makes me sad because I want to know now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. At what point? Because it was established that the TVA kind of exists out of time, more or
Right.
less. So at what point when Sylvie pushed Loki through that portal, back into the TVA, was it when he went through the portal that everything changed? Was it when it like zoomed in on his face and then he got up? Is that when stuff changed? Like is the TVA a constant throughout all the multiverses, or is it like each timeline has their own TVA?
I think they're constant because they had all those Infinity Stones, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's multiverse constant, then how do they only have one main, central timeline to protect from branches and stuff? So
then again, until this point, there were no other real timelines
that's true
out there. So it could just be that this timeline's TVA was conquered.
Right, because it was like super at the end. But I don't know how. Because I'm not gonna lie, I thought the judge lady was the bad guy the whole time.
I mean, she wasn't a good guy.
I know, but I thought it was she was the
villain.
super mastermind. Like I thought they were gonna show up there and it was just gonna be so you figured it out or something. You know what I mean? Like because again, it was kind of interesting to me that like she also had no idea what was going on, but was sticking to her guns anyway.
I by the end of the show, I think she did. Like I think those files Miss Minutes gave her at the end kind of tipped her off on what was going on, because at the end she said, he's the only one that has free will, and then she
Right.
went off to find that free will. So she's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's like she's just I don't know, but yeah, and that's the thing. It's just kind of we don't know, and that's the thing. It's like there's so much still out there that we have no idea how that's gonna go. We don't know. Does this, are they, and again, they come back and spoilers. Who are you? Like it was like what?
Like
what?
I guess these are different variants than the ones who were in the previous TVA, I guess. But
I guess, but like, oh, that so like who
also,
knows
not to
what?
mention, like, it was established in episode 2 that there have been probably hundreds of Loki variants that have been captured and pruned throughout time.
Right.
Yet this variant of Owen Wilson, Mobius, must be like brand new or something, that or Loki variants aren't nearly as common as they used to be because he didn't recognize Loki. Like, you think he would at least recognize that he is a Loki?
Right.
That he just thought he was an analyst at the TVA, unless because it could be it could be a thing that because like Loki Prime wasn't in the timeline when the multiverse split, Loki doesn't exist anymore.
Loki's never existed.
Maybe.
So every Loki has been,
I don't know.
kind of. But then how? But does that mean no one remembers them, or does that mean they cease to exist because he's still there? So. And also, what happened to Sylvie? Like we don't know. Like is she just up? I mean, is she just chilling up there? I don't even. Oh my goodness.
Because
so many questions.
Again, when the one who remains, which I loved everything about Jonathan Majors' interpretation. That was fantastic. Just
so casual. It was great.
Yeah, I loved him.
Did not
so much.
care.
Like he essentially laid down the terms of, I'm getting old, getting bored of this. I don't want to do this whole timekeeper thing anymore. Take my place and keep the timeline sacred, or kill me and make this timeline go crazy. Why would it matter if you killed him? Why can't you just, like, those are the two options. Take my place or kill me and make the timeline go crazy. Why is killing him a big deal when that could essentially just be them replacing him, as long as they keep the pad or whatever?
Right.
Like, there's just something more there we can't see yet.
Well, I think it's because probably because there's alternate hymns, I guess. Because I guess if he's still alive, he can still fend off the other versions of himself, I guess. But I mean, isn't he tired of doing that too?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I legitimately think it was all part of some master plan. Like, I know he wanted Kang the Conqueror to not exist anymore, per se, but I don't know. It feels like it was always his intention to have the multiverse happen for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's there's so much going on. The unanswered questions, and then there's more questions, and then you're like, wait, I forgot. What about this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is Sylvie gonna try to keep this timeline sacred? Is she she completed her mission, yet I have a feeling that's not going to be really satisfying to her now that she broke time.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, it's like who really it's like things are, it's so relative now, like how different things are. So it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna be. I have no idea. Because it's just like, how does, okay, you have so many questions. Okay, why is this going to work? How is this going to work going forward? How does this affect everything? Also, we don't know how the regular world is doing with this right now.
Yep.
I mean, if the TVA is going crazy, I can only imagine what the real world's looking like right now.
Mhm.
So, but then again, I don't know how that's gonna. I don't know if that's just gonna start being crazy. I mean,
Yeah, like a part of me kind of wishes this show didn't happen until right before Multiverse of Madness. Like I kind of wish this show would kind of like Marvel shows had taken a break until like next January because I think Multiverse of Madness comes out in March.
okay,
So then again this show I guess maybe right before Spider-Man because I have a feeling something with the timeline varying happened is gonna somehow interact with No Way Home.
mm-hmm.
It's just going to be very interesting going from the timeline getting just completely screwed over into Shang-Chi, which is probably not really going to be affected by it.
Wouldn't think so.
Yeah, and then not really like doing Kang stuff probably until Ant-Man 3, which comes out the February after next in 2023. So I don't know. It's just I want answers now, but I'm not gonna get them until way later. So in a way, I kind of wish they had not shown it to me yet, but I enjoy it so much. I want to theorize it more. I don't know. I'm very conflicted. I like it.
Yeah, there's there's still so much about it too. That's just kind of like so many implications that we have
Mhm.
no idea how. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Not to mention like those other Lokis and the boy. Like
Right?
that was so good. That was
Yeah.
so
Oh my
good.
gosh.
Like
There was an alligator, which isn't even a rising thing. He's just so, like, we're in the fifth episode. He's so done by that
mm,
point. He just like does not even care. And they have like a
uh,
Loki fight, and he eats
mm,
his hand. Ah! Oh, so just like, well, that's unfortunate.
yeah, and like Kid Loki is
Yes.
absolutely joining the Young Avengers. We just don't know how yet.
Yeah, they'll figure something. They will make the timeline work out so that all the characters they'll need for other stuff will just happen to find their way
Yeah,
because
like
they can.
will Kid Loki somehow find his way back from the void? Will Kid Loki just kind of appear in the main MCU timeline? Will there even be a main MCU timeline at this point? Will Multiverse of Madness fix or further disrupt stuff? Like I don't know.
We'll have to see. I have no idea, but I mean, they'll probably have to put it back together. But I assume. But then again, Loki season 2. Do we even know when that's supposed to be coming out?
Not yet. No.
Yeah, so like that's probably at least another year away, if
Mm,
not more, because of all the. And so yeah, we're gonna have at least a couple movies that we have no idea, is this affecting, is this not, and also because it's, you know in the TVA, does it really happen at any point in time, or is it just kind of, uh,
yeah.
because like time's kind of irrelevant at that perspective, because they were at the end of time
Mm.
and then they're in the TVA, which is kind of just limbo anyway.
So yeah. At what point did Kang conquer the TVA? Like does it like that kind of furthers the theory that now there are multiple different TVAs maybe, and this is just
Oh
the
my gosh.
one in the timeline where Loki doesn't exist. I don't know. I don't
No,
know, but it's great.
there's really no way of knowing, which is probably great.
Yeah, I very excited for Loki season 2. I think it was it was at least heavily rumored somewhere that Loki is going to appear in some fashion in Multiverse of Madness. My guess is a post-credit scene in that.
Probably. Now, do you think that, because it has, do you think because it had Tom Hiddleston's been doing this for a long time, do you think there's a chance? Because I was thinking how it was gonna end was like Sylvie was gonna kind of replace our Loki and just be the new Loki kind of, especially with the new Thor coming out.
Um,
But
I think Tom Hiddleston has reconfirmed that he's willing to play Loki for another 10 years if he
okay,
wants
never
to. So,
mind. Okay,
yeah, like
did not know that. So yeah,
I don't think he'll show up in a major capacity in Thor: Love and Thunder, but like clearly, he's gonna show back up in Loki season 2, probably in Multiverse of Madness, hopefully future stuff as well. Like, it just, Tom Hiddleston isn't even 40 yet, I don't think. So yeah.
yeah. So he's got plenty. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got plenty of left in him.
Mm, yeah, like phase 4 right now,
Doing
looking
great.
very good.
Doing
Like when
great.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is kind of the weakest thing in your phase so far, it's a
Right,
good phase.
and like
even then, it's
even,
very good.
yeah, they are. Yeah, and then you've got other movies, like even this year. I mean, Shang-Chi looks very interesting. I'm definitely excited for that. The Eternals, I still have no idea what I'm getting into,
Yeah.
but I'm still for it.
Yeah, like I don't need to get sold because I'm obviously gonna see it,
Yeah.
but I still don't know what to think of it yet. Yeah, I'm obviously gonna see it. I'm not like, theoretically, I'm not sold on it yet if it weren't a Marvel movie, because it is, I'm gonna see it. But yeah.
It's like you gotta figure, because again, you can't miss it. Like,
Yeah.
especially because that is one of those movies that has the potential to be enormous, have enormous implications. So you can't miss it. You have to be on top of
it. So yeah, like I am predicting a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer before too long. Now that Loki is over, I really do think that was the thing they were waiting for. Like, we need to wait for it to make sense for these other characters to come into the MCU through other means first.
Right.
Because now that multiverse exists, we can just kind of imply, oh, one of those alternate dimensions is the Tobey Maguire universe, is Andrew Garfield universe, etc.
Oh my
And do that now.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, like Marvel stuff has been good, looking like it's going to keep being good. What If is next. Then after that, Shang-Chi, then Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Eternals, and No Way Home, all this year.
And the year's like already half over. That's a lot of stuff. I'm here for it. No complaints. Absolutely none.
Oh yeah.
But man, we're gonna have to buckle up. That's gonna be a lot.
Yep. And then next year's gonna be even just crazy.
Oh my god. So exciting.
So is there anything else you want to bring or discuss about either the two things we talked about, or anything else you want to bring up quick?
We don't have to get really into it, because I know it could go turn into like an hour, but Bad Batch's last episode or two has been very good. So I just want to put that out there for those of you who aren't caught up. It's picking up.
Like it's not quite as good as I was hoping it would be, since I did love Clone Wars, but these past 3 episodes really just, I think, is like, this is what the show should have been, revisiting planets that were big parts of, like Ryloth is one that like had a very heavy focus in Clone Wars, so going back to there, seeing familiar characters,
right, and like seeing how like the Empire is changing into this like oppressive, like kind of basically being what the Separatists were, just with clones now. You know what I mean? And I love how they even address that. They're like talking, it's like, whoa, man, you guys talking about you were gonna be like, oh, don't worry, it's just for your protection, but also hand over your weapons or else.
Like, I loved how that one, I can't remember his name, that one like clone commander guy, he's still like, he found a loophole while still technically following Order 66, where he's like, we are following orders, we are protecting Ryloth, but what we are doing right now is not protecting Ryloth. Like if we continue on this path right now, we are not following orders. Like that is so clever.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the Rex thing where he's trying to like, well, actually, I mean, technically, Ahsoka was expelled, so really, she's not a Jedi. So, and then Jesse's just like,
Come on, man.
you're in violation of Order 66. He's like, guys, like, no, guys, see, it makes sense. And they're just like, I'm not buying it, my guy. Like, but and I think it's really cool because, like, especially in the latest episode, you see like, the clones aren't just robots, which is kind of what they kind of seem like for the entire show up until like this last episode.
Yeah.
Which I like that they're showing it, but also I'm like, okay, so is it one of those like, wears off over time, or is it different because there maybe weren't Jedi on Ryloth, or like
again, I think it's because he found the loophole where they're still following their directive, but they still technically have a free will to do what they need to do in order to fulfill that directive, even if it technically means going against their direct officers. Their mission is priority.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think they could have leaned in a little heavier on that. Like I don't know. Like I think that main commander guy was a little too combative, if that was kind of what they were going with, but felt like he had just a little too much free will with what he was doing.
Because
I
he
think
seemed not affected at all.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, maybe he has an effective chip, but it was like, I mean, that was the first clone who looked like it was the Clone Wars that we've seen this whole show.
Yeah. Yeah, like a part of me kind of wishes, was it Waxer or Boyle that died on Umbara? Remember?
I'm pretty sure it's Waxer.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong though, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Let's assume it was Waxer that died in Umbara. I don't think the other one.
The other one, one of them, you never see them die.
Okay.
So
part of me kind of wishes it was Boyle who was there, like kind of as a fan service moment, but also to be like, this is where we first saw. This is where you were introduced to his character on Ryloth. Now we're seeing this character, under now as a stormtrooper going back there. I just think that would have been cool just to kind of see how he reacts to that. I think it would have been more realistic if it was a character that already had attachment to this planet.
Yeah.
And be rebelling, but oh well.
Yeah, because I was even thinking that, because again, kind of what we talked about before, like Echo kind of not being how we thought Echo was going to be at all. But like, I don't think Ryloth was really, because I remember it was mostly like Mace Windu and then Obi-Wan's different battalions that were like on the planet, and like Anakin, they were kind of in space more. So I guess Echo wouldn't really be there, but it was still kind of like, yeah, you see planets that like, a few months ago even, yeah, we were just, protecting the people, got rid of the droids. They even had the capital city, like you remember the bridge and everything.
Oh yeah.
They talked about, oh yeah, the bridge is taken down so we can, I'm like, man, they really like completely flipped this thing upside down. It's but it's just, yeah, it's gotten, yeah, but I like you said, I really think this is kind of more what it should have been, like instead of kind of just like these like, get the MacGuffin thing or thing of the week episodes kind of. While they had some good moments in them, I think this is more of what I think people wanted to see.
Oh yeah, this is definitely more what the show should have been the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. Like imagine if they went back to like, all these different worlds that we've been to, like, even with the Mon Calamari underwater, or like
or even just other places in the Star Wars universe. Like I want to see what Bespin is like now.
True.
Because that's a planet that only really, as far as like media is concerned, that's only in episode 5. Like for like half a second in episode 9, but like
Cad Bane thing on Cloud City or something?
I don't think so. At first I thought it was Cloud City, but I think that's just a different cloud planet.
I don't know. I wasn't entirely sure. I was kind of lost in the moment, but
first I thought it was Bespin, but it didn't like I don't know. There was no people there. It didn't. The architecture didn't look quite the same.
Yeah, it would have been hard to tell if you don't know, but yeah, I don't even. Yeah, but yeah, like seeing other places we haven't seen. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Seeing, especially if they're like original trilogy places more so.
Yeah, or like go back to Naboo. What is that looking like?
Oh, well, I mean, according to the Battlefront 2, Naboo's not too great right now,
Yeah,
but yeah, but still, like that'd be really fun to see, or even Coruscant. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like how's that? How are the people dealing? Like, is everyone like yay Empire, or like I don't? Because I mean, I don't think we really ever see that.
Outside of at the very end of the special edition of Episode 6, where they're cheering in the streets that the Empire was gone, um, like where like was Coruscant feels like it it would be interesting to see how the people of Coruscant are reacting to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like, yeah, the Chancellor, well, Emperor, excuse me, my lord, but yeah, and also I just it's still kind of like not upsetting, but it's still kind of like I like it, but also don't like it that I still don't know really where we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All I know is that we are, it is after Order 66. For all we know, it's still during episode 3. Like, we really don't
Mm.
know. Like, we assume it's been long enough that episode 3 is over, but it's still like, it hasn't been confirmed. It's kind of
Yeah. I also don't love that they've just kind of been mercenaries for the past like 6 episodes.
yeah, they were doing that for too long.
I, yeah,
Especially without like a real goal or reason behind, oh, we need money. It's like, I mean, I get it, but like if they like needed money for like a specific thing or like
mm,
they were trying to save up money to buy information or something, like it kind of just felt like, yeah, we're just doing this for reasons.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I
Like
am
character development, but like still.
I am enjoying the show. I think a Bad Batch season 2 is all but confirmed at this point. So it's not like if they don't get to a certain thing in this
Okay.
season, they'll we just won't see it.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think this show as a whole could be doing a lot more with what I think is the most interesting time in Star Wars, which we really don't get to see a lot of. So, oh well. Kind of touching on that. One last quick thing. It actually was confirmed that Commander Cody will appear in the Obi-Wan show.
Good.
Yes.
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 That
Morrison, I think is his name. The Boba Fett guy.
Yeah.
Django, whatever. He's been cast in Obi-Wan as I think specifically as Cody, but other clones as well. Like
right, obviously
so
it has to
sense.
be every clone that shows up pretty much. But no, that's gonna be awesome though, because again, especially now that we have Clone Wars, like these guys have been through a lot together.
Yeah.
like,
and that was the thing. As soon as both these shows were announced, I was like, I want Cody to show up in at least one of these, and Obi-Wan. That just makes so much sense.
yeah. I mean, I really like Obi-Wan because honestly, as much as I like Bad Batch, I think it's better. Much better. He shows up in Obi-Wan because like that was aside from Anakin, that was probably one of his best friends.
Yeah.
Who also was like, oh, hey, what's up? All right, shoot him. Like, you know what I mean? He went 0 to 100 out of nowhere. But like, you kind of see as the show, especially kind of at the beginning of season 7, how different like Rex and Cody are on like ideals. Rex is kind of like, well, free thinking. Or Cody's like, well, man, you get orders, man. Like,
yeah,
gotta do what you gotta do. So it's like,
probably
did not hesitate too much. It's like, man, I was just getting to like that guy too. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, that's really exciting. And we'll get to see, I don't know if this is gonna be like flashbacks or like maybe they'll find him and he's like, hey.
I hope they find him and hunt him down.
yeah, I know. Like that would be crazy. You have to like imagine if you have to kill him. Like, oh my gosh. It's your buddy. Like, can you imagine that? You're like war buddy. Just now they're hunting you down. Like that is just crazy.
Yep.
So exciting.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
it's so refreshing that we're in a place where both Marvel and Star Wars content are looking very, very bright. Like it's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When is the Obi-Wan show? Do we have anything on that? Like
Next
when?
year.
Next year sometime. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's in
Okay.
production right now to come out next year.
We've been talking about this for so like Obi-Wan. Like I remember first it was just a movie. And then it was like, nope, we're getting a whole show, which is like better in my opinion,
Yeah.
because they could more and and like
we also have confirmation of young Leia and Luke in there somewhere. I think the show takes place about 10 years after episode 3.
Okay.
So him like kind of checking in on them every now and again.
Yeah, so they'll be like 10 years old and 8, 9, 10, depending.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be kind of cool. He kind of like is in Tatooine. Luke's doing cool. Then Peru, Nukkon goes over to Alderaan, before it blows out.
Actually getting to see, live action Alderaan could be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be really awesome. And just that'd be so cool. He's avoiding the Empire. Darth Vader has to at some point at least. They're gonna have the like him and Anakin, like he's gonna be talking to like his how like when you lose someone, but like they were your host, they like have like what would Anakin do right now? He's like talking to like probably just like a imaginary Hayden Christensen kind of for the whole movie. That'd be so good.
Yeah, and like we're gonna have like some flashback sequences of Clone Wars era stuff,
right?
In like the Jedi armor and man.
But think about it. Think about it. We'll have like scenes that have been in the Clone Wars show. Like we'll be the opposite kind of. You know how they've done like scenes in Clone Wars animation. Now we're in episode 3. Now it's gonna be scenes that were in the Clone Wars, but now it's in live action.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars. It's gonna be so awesome.
Yep. And yeah, we get Star Wars Visions in September. We get Boba Fett is this winter. And then Mandalorian season 3 next. I think Mandalorian season 3 just went in production earlier last week.
Okay.
I don't know if it started filming, but it's at least gotten into like the production phase. So yeah, that's on track to go first half of next year. Like, yeah, it's
good times. It's always a good time to be a Star Wars fan, but it's good times right now.
Oh yeah. So yeah, anything else you want to bring up or discuss?
That's all I've got from here.
Okay, so with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care, guys.